Okay. Okay. So today we are starting with chapter 37. If anybody has looked at it, you'll take notice that it's a very long chapter, and so we will not get through it today. We'll already just start it, and it's got so many lessons, so many powerful lessons. So beginning just to a little bit of an introduction is that chapter 36 is where David HaMelech speaks about all the evil forces in the world, and he speaks about the fact that all those evil forces, what they are, and how they try to convince us that we should follow their evil path and that there is no God in the world. And at the end of chapter 36, David HaMelech he pleads with Hashem and he says, Hashem, help me convince. Let's convince the people. Let's convince mankind that there is good in the world, and that like that they shouldn't follow all the evil forces the that were spoken about before. Um, so let's have a look at this capital, which was traditionally said every time that there was a public meeting or a public davening, because as the commentaries explain to us, the forces of evil are so strong, and that which tries to convince us not to believe in Hashem is so strong that we need repetition all the time to have chizuk, to be convinced that Hashem is the real deal. So it begins, and we'll read the first pasuk. It says, "David by David, al tischar b'mareim, do not compete with bad people. Al tukane ba'isa avla, and don't be jealous of those people who are corrupt." And so the first thing we take notice, slightly different beginning to usual. Doesn't say Mizmor le David or le David Mizmor or Shir Mizmor like most of the kapitlach do, but begins just with the word le David. And commentaries explain to us that whenever it says just le David, it means it's not a tefillah, so it's not a prayer, it's not a shir, it's not a song, but what is it? It's actually Hashem speaking to us via David HaMelech. We have a concept of Shechina Medaberes Mitzvech Greino, that there are times, particularly with a Navi, that Hashem speaks from the throat of the person who's speaking. Most specifically, we use that saying when we talk about Moshe Rabbeinu telling us the Torah. And here we have it in Tehillim that when it says Le David, it means that really David, was hearing from Hashem. Hashem was giving him instruction, and he put it into poetic form in the Sefer Tehillim. And what is Hashem responding? Hashem says, don't be jealous. Al tischar b'mareim. Don't compete with. Don't be jealous of bad people. And what is commentaries explain that this means? Okay, that we mustn't be jealous or even compete with people who become prosperous through bad ways, through evil means. And probably this is one of our biggest faith busters for every single one of us at some stage in our lives. How come? They're stealing and they're getting rich. They're cheating and they're prospering. What is going on? Why are these wicked people doing so well? And one step more than that is that often we have temptation to do what they're doing. I won't steal so much, I'll just steal a little bit. Okay. I won't be so corrupt, I'll just be a little bit corrupt. And that way I'll also prosper. If they're managing, then I'm also going to manage as well. And so David HaMelech says, Al tischar b'mareim. Don't compete with them, don't copy them, don't be be jealous of them, and even more than that, says the Meiri, don't be angry about it, which is probably the hardest thing, because sometimes we do get really angry, like what is this? Why are they being so successful? And the commentaries explain to us that in historical sense, if we want to place this capital in historical way, it was written through Nevuah, as I explained. And what was David prophesying? He was prophesying about the future when there would be the split in the two camps, the kingdom of Israel and the kingdom of Yehuda. So after Shlomo, his son Rehavam, was the king, and Yeravam ben Nevat split the kingdom. 10 tribes followed Yeravam ben Nevat. The other two tribes followed Rehavam, the son of Shlomo, and it was really bad. Okay, very, very bad. And David HaMelech is appealing to them, where he says, "Don't be angry with them. Don't be jealous of them. Don't compete with them." Almost all the commentaries explain that David HaMelech was prevailing on them, that there shouldn't be civil war. Don't allow there to be civil war. So, and he says, like, so he doubles over in this pasuk. He says, "Al tischar b'mareim and al tekane ba'aseh avla." Don't be jealous by the fact that they are corrupt. The commentaries speak about why he added the words "al tekane," don't be jealous, and most of the Mepharshim explain to us that jealousy is an instinct. It's not something that we work on. It's not something that we decide to be jealous or not to be jealous. But jealousy is instinctive. So you cannot, because it's instinct, you can't obliterate it completely. Something that's not instinct, you can get rid of completely. So it's much like if you're addicted to drugs, you could stop taking them, right? And you don't have to take drugs. If you're an alcoholic, you don't have to have alcohol. But if you're addicted to food, you can't just stop eating, right? There's certain things that we have to have in our lives. And so says the commentaries that jealousy is one of those things that we have to have in our lives. It's not possible to not have jealousy. So what should we do about it? How should we deal with this midah, with this behavior of jealousy? And the Gemara explains to us that rather than try and obliterate jealousy, we have to try and redirect it. We have to know that there are certain things that we can be jealous of. Mostly in Torah writing, it's called kinas seifrim, where you are jealous of somebody else's learning. You could be jealous that someone else has been able to achieve so much in their learning, and that jealousy, rather than make you do something wrong, makes you do something right. I will do better than them. I will learn more than them. I will give more tzedakah than them. I will daven harder than them. So kinas sofrim, jealousy of someone and the things they are doing right, that is permitted, and it's not only is permitted, it's a good thing, and it's one of the ways that we redirect this midah of jealousy. He explains why we shouldn't be jealous and why we shouldn't compete with corruptness in the next pasuk. He says, "Ki ki chechatzir mehera yimalu." They'll soon be cut down like grass. Ucheyerek desha yibaylen, and they'll wither like greenery. Rav Shimshon Raphael Hirsch says, what is this picture that David is painting for us is that of grass everywhere. So you know that grass can grow everywhere, sometimes except for where you want it, but it can grow everywhere. It comes up between the rocks, it comes up in the driveway. Your garden can be filled with grass, the fields can be filled with grass, and you think, sure, grass is so successful. It can be anywhere, it is everywhere. But if you think about grass, firstly, it doesn't have deep roots. It's very easy to uproot grass. Second of all, the green top of the grass gets cut off. That's the best part of the grass, right? So we take a lawnmower or a scissors or however it is, and we cut off the top. And we don't save it and say, wow, I've got this green, the best part of the grass I've got for myself. We put it in a pile or whatever it is, and after a few hours or days, it withers to nothing. And David HaMelech says that is what the wicked is like. They can pop up anywhere. They can come up anywhere. They can show up everywhere. But wickedness does not have strong roots, and a promise from David HaMelech that the wicked will wither like the top of the grass. And then David HaMelech goes on to giving us instructions. And he says, B'tach b'Hashem v'aseh tov, trust in Hashem and do trust in Hashem and do good. Shchan eretz, live in the land, urei emunah, and nurture your faith. So this pasuk has so much in it. It could be at least one share, maybe even more, just by itself. I'm going to give pretty surface explanation for it, but try and delve into it a little bit. So the first thing that David HaMelech is telling us over here is giving us instruction, and he says, "Betach b'Hashem," trust, trust in Hashem, v'asei tov, and do good. So he says, how do we all become bale bitachon? We all become people who are believers, who are trusters. He says there's a good way to become a believer, someone who believes in Hashem, someone who trusts Hashem, and he says that is by doing good. The more good a person does, the more likely they will be to trust in Hashem. And he says this is, Rashi actually says, this is specifically when it comes to mitzvahs. We pay a fortune for mitzvahs. And if we don't trust in Hashem, we will be too nervous to spend that kind of money on an esrog, to spend that kind of money on matzah, to spend that kind of money on a Shabbos meal, to like so many things, take off a day of work for Shabbos, like so many things that we really have to have trust in Hashem in order to do it. And so this good, this spending money on mitzvahs, this spending time on Shabbos and Yom Tov, this doing things that logically don't really make so much sense, that is a show, that's a doing of betach Hashem, of trusting Hashem. And so says David HaMelech, this is a method, not just telling you. It's easy to say to someone, trust in Hashem. I'm giving you a method, how to trust in Hashem. And Rashi continues and says, a person who has what he needs in his basket, in the words of Rashi, he has bread in his basket, and he says there, I can't share it with you because I'm worried if I share my bread with you, then tomorrow I'll be hungry. I can't do that mitzvah because I'm worried what will happen tomorrow, and so on. So even though he has what he needs, but he can't actually use it in the service of Hashem, such a person doesn't get the title of a believer, of someone who trusts Hashem. The commentaries continue and discuss the fact that to trust in Hashem, you have to do more than say, I trust in Hashem. You have to do more than say it. You have to do more than think it. You actually have to do something. That is a proof that you trust Hashem. The Divrei Shlomo says you actually have to do something that is almost a sacrifice. It's a risk. I'm going to do that. I'm going to pay for that. I'm going to do that. I'm going to go there. And it's a risk because you have no guarantee that you're going to get paid back for it. You have no guarantee that you're going to be successful. And you do it, that's called someone who trusts in Hashem. So it's interesting that in this pasuk it's got both words, betach b'Hashem, which is trust in Hashem, and the end of the pasuk it says, emunah, nurture your faith. So we want to understand what is the difference between bitachon, trust, and emunah, which is faith. So you know the children's game that somebody stands with facing the wall, and his friend comes and stands behind him and says, fall into my arms. Okay. And you just lean back, and fall into your friend's arms, and they catch you. So how do we explain this as a mashal for faith and for trust? So emunah, I really believe, I have faith that there's a God in the world. I believe that my friend is standing behind me. Trust, I don't know if he's going to catch me. I'm not sure if he's going to catch me or not. And that's the difference. There are many times where we have emunah, we believe there's a God in the world, but we don't trust him completely. In fact, sometimes we don't trust him at all, but we don't trust him completely. In Hasidic writings, they always give the example of the thief who he's about to make a robbery, and right before he makes the robbery, he turns to Hashem and he says, Hashem, I'm about to rob this house. Please, Hashem, make me successful. Now, most of us think that's pretty stupid, right? Like, you're about to do a robbery and you're asking Hashem for help. And the commentaries explain that that's not terrible. Actually, I mean the robbery part is terrible, but he is on some madrega. He believes he has a munah that there's God in the world. In the world, he evidently doesn't trust Hashem to give him what he needs, and he needs to go and help himself. Okay, but this is the difference between but bitachon, bitach Hashem, trust in Hashem, and emunah, faith in Hashem. So now the pasuk says bitach Hashem, trust in Hashem, gives us the method. How do you get to that? I say taiv, do good, as we explained, and that will help you that you like as you keep on doing good and good, this will nurture your faith. The two words that I left out over here, shchan eretz, live in the land. And the commentaries ask, how does this fit in? The pasuk would have been so neat if it could have been just like I said it before. But b'Hashem, trust Hashem, asay tov, do good, and then urei emunah, and that will nurture your faith. So what are these two extra words, shchan eretz, live in the land? So at a few different levels. The first is do good in the land, simple, straightforward. That's where you live. Do good over there in the land. Slightly deeper, Mepharshim say to us that whenever it says Eretz, land, it's talking about Eretz Israel. It's talking about the land of Israel, and the Mepharshim tell us that just the act of living in Israel gives you faith. It provides you with faith, and it's mind-boggling. Like right now, last night we listened to this woman who lives in Beersheba. She's an activist there, and speaks about her faith and what she's doing there and how she's doing. It's mind-boggling. I saw for the Cape Townians, I saw Mark Codron the other day, and he also spoke about he's living like towards the south, and sure, he wouldn't go anywhere else. It's hard, it's difficult, but he believes that's the place where you need to be, and that and his son will go to the army. That's what he needs to be doing. It simply says, say the Mefarshim, Shchan Aretz. If you live in the land, you are given a certain faith that us outside of the land can't understand, possibly can't even relate to completely. Another level of understanding these words, Shchan Aretz, if you want to know the best way for us ordinary people to believe in Hashem, plant things. Be a planter. So for sure, a farmer has this much more than ordinary person. But I always said, as an ordinary person, I want a beautiful garden. For whatever reason, I cannot get a beautiful garden. I think it's because I lose interest too quickly, and so plant all things, get all excited and plant all things, and then don't always look after them properly. But this year, I decided I'm going to pay someone to make me a beautiful garden. And I went and I bought flowers, and I got this man to come and plant my flowers. And what happened? 3 days after he planted my flowers, there was a Johannesburg storm. All my pretty little flowers drowned or got ripped up by the hail. Not meant to have a beautiful garden. That's all there is to it. Now imagine I was a farmer, okay, and I had to plant my corn or whatever it is that I was planting. What would happen? How come the next door neighbor's farm has beautiful corn and he's going to have a harvest that's unbelievable, and me, my corn stalks are empty? Like I'm like, what is going on? The biggest thing about planting is acknowledging that it's not you who's the clever farmer. It's not you who's the clever grower. Hashem decides about plants, if they grow or they don't grow, and how they grow. Obviously, we can spoil it, as I've proven. But on for an ordinary farmer, faith is one of the most important things he needs to have. He needs to believe that no matter how hard he works, at the end of the day, Hashem is going to decide if he has a successful crop or not. And says, so this is what David HaMelech is saying. He says, Shchan Eretz, live in the land. You want to increase your belief, you want to increase your trust in Hashem, live on the land, go and see how things grow, do your best and see like how Hashem makes it work. Another level of understanding these words, Shchan Eretz, live on the earth. So there are some religions where the best way to keep that religion is to sit on a mountain far away from everyone, eat dry bread once a week, speak once a year, or whatever it is, and that's your way of becoming spiritual, of becoming great. And David HaMelech says that's not our way. It's not our method of connecting. Our method of connecting is Shchan Eretz, live in the land, use the land, use everything in the land. Have a beautiful house, have nice cars, eat good food, have good clothes. Use the land and use it properly. Shchan Eretz. If you use the land properly, this can give you the biggest trust, the biggest emunah, and this is what can connect you to Hashem. And most of the Mepharshim explained to us that the way Hashem made the world is that we should use the gashmis, we should use the physical things in the world, and so we have very few people who could live in the land and not use it and still connect with Hashem. So most well known is the story of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, who was able to live in a cave for years and years and years and years, just study Torah, not worry about anything physical. And so he existed on drinking water from a stream that was going by and eating carobs, and that's how he existed for all the time that he was there in the cave. And he thought that was wonderful. He was reaching the highest levels. What happened when he came out of the cave? He saw somebody, a farmer, planting seeds, and he couldn't believe it. He actually could not believe that someone was wasting time from learning, from connecting, planting seeds. And it actually says that he looked at the person in such horror that the person died. And a voice came from heaven and said, Shimon, go back in the cave. You don't understand the world. The world that I created, says Hashem, needs people who work the land, needs people who use the land. That's my world and the way that I created it. Shchan Eretz, live in the land and nurture your faith via the land. And that's the interesting wording that the pasuk uses over here, Urei emunah. It says the word Ra'ei, which we're translating, and most of the English translations are using the same translation, nurture. Ra'ei emunah, nurture your faith. The reason that uses the word nurture or Ra'ei, Ra'ei actually literally means to shepherd. And so, at simple level, shepherd your faith, which is how we're calling better English. We say nurture your faith. But Chazal tell us that this is teaching us a few other things. Shepherd, first of all, is a shepherd is someone who teaches or helps or works on other people. Someone who wants to nurture their faith has to believe it enough to be able to tell it to someone else, to shepherd someone else. So a good way to work your own faith is ra'eh, to shepherd, to be able to tell it to another person, to be able to share it, to give it, to encourage another person. That's one level of ra'eh, emunah. Another thing is, well, the concept of ra'eh, shepherd, should immediately put into our heads the picture of us Yidden as little lambs, and believing that Hashem looks after us as a shepherd looks after his sheep. Ra'eh, when we believe that, emunah, we will have faith. A third way of understanding this or knowing that Ra'eh, shepherding. So if you have a look in history, you'll see that a lot of our very great people were shepherds, right? David HaMelech himself started off as a shepherd. The Baal Shem Tov was a shepherd. Yaakov's sons were shepherds. Why do great people choose shepherding as a parnasa? Like, why do they choose to be shepherds? And again, Chazal tell us that shepherding is a very good way to make a living and still have as much time as you want or need in order to study. So if you want to find a job where all you have to do is bring the sheep in the morning, take them home in the afternoon, and just keep an eye on them during the day, and the rest of the day you can spend your time learning about Hashem, connecting with Hashem, doing all holy stuff. Shepherding is a good job. Okay, it's Ra'eh, use shepherding emunah to get more faith. And then I saw another explanation, which I think is very worth sharing. The word Ra'ay has in it the word Raya, a friend. And say Chazal, or it's actually Reb Nachman of Breslov who says, Raya, a friend. The best way to have faith is to have friends, to have people around you who have faith. If you are spending your time with people who have faith, most likely your faith will increase. And if you're spending your time with people who don't have faith, most likely you also won't have faith. So ura'ei emunah, have a good friend, a re'ah, who will help you with faith. Continues David HaMelech with some more suggestions on how to connect to Hashem. He says, "V'his aneg al Hashem." Take pleasure in Hashem, and Hashem will fulfill your heart's desires. So this idea of is anagal Hashem, take delight in Hashem, um, says Radak, a person should take pleasure in their fulfillment of mitzvahs. So this is a level, because we start off doing mitzvahs, some we like and some we don't, and some we get to like and some we never like, and we still do them. Even if they're hard for us, we carry on doing them. Says David HaMelech, "V'his aneg al Hashem." Work on yourself and work on yourself and work on yourself to enjoy the mitzvahs that we do. It says that when a person delights in the mitzvahs that he does, then he has a promise, "V'yitein lecha mishales libecha," that Hashem will give us that which we ask for. Most specifically, says the Gemara, that delighting in Hashem means to delight in Shabbos. So Shabbos can do two things for us. We can keep Shabbos grudgingly and, have to cook again, whatever, shul again, right, whatever it is. Or we can delight in it. We love sitting around the table. We love having good food. We like having new clothes. Says the Gemara that Shabbos is called Eineg. It's a delight. But it's only a delight if we make it a delight. If we make Shabbos into a delight, if we make it something that we enjoy, and that it's nice, it's good for us, then we have this promise, that Hashem will give us, He'll give each of us that which our heart desires. Now, interestingly, again from Reb Nachman of Breslov, Reb Nachman says that we all know academically, logically, whatever word you want to say, that everything Hashem does is good. Everything Hashem does is good. Hashem is compassionate. He's a kind God. We have all those nice words for him, where we speak about Hashem as being good and kind and blah, blah, blah. We don't always feel that. We don't always see it clearly in our own minds that Hashem is good. So what do we ask Hashem for? What kind of reward do we want? We don't want reward that Hashem does good, only because I might not like the good that Hashem thinks is good for me. What kind are we asking for? Hashem should give you that which your heart desires. In other words, the good that I like as good, the good that I feel is good, the good that I understand as good, that is that is the desires of my heart. That's what we want Hashem to reward us with, to give us. And we have this promise that He will do this for us if we work on our emunah, our bitachon, and our delight in Him. I actually thought to do one more pasuk. I'm deciding. Okay, I think it's I'm gonna go for another 2 minutes. So the next pasuk, he gives us another suggestion of how to connect with Hashem. He says, "Gol al Hashem darkecha." Move over all your ways to Hashem, uv'tachalav, and trust in Him, v'hu ya'aseh, and He, Hashem, will do. And this is one of the really powerful psukim, and similar wording that comes 3 or 4 other times in Tehillim. Gol al Hashem darkecha. In various translations, put your ways put your needs in Hashem. What is the literal translation of goal? So you might know that a wheel, a thing that turns, galgal, right? If you went to nursery school in any of the Hebrew nursery school, you sang Rakevet Mistavevet al Galgalim, right? That a train goes round on wheels, wheels, and wheels. So goal is from the word wheel, and so a literal translation would be roll over to Hashem darkecha, your ways. The picture I always have in my head is that we have a big stone on our shoulders, and we take it off our shoulders and we roll it over to Hashem. It's too heavy for me. I can't pick it up. I can't manage it. I can't do this on my own. So what do? I take this rock that's on my shoulder, I take it off my shoulder, and I roll it over to Hashem. And that's what he's telling us over here. Gol al Hashem darkecha. Roll over to Hashem all your things, the stuff that's troubling you. I often tell this and say to you in very short, when I was pregnant with Ita, I was really worried and I wasn't sure at all how to deal and was this going to happen? Was I going to have a baby? Was the baby going to be healthy? I was really nervous. And one day I had this epiphany that there was nothing I could do at this point. I was davening. I was going to a good doctor. I was listening to what the doctor said. I was taking my vitamins. I was looking after myself as best as I could. And there was nothing else I could do except go El Hashem, take the rock off my shoulder and roll it over to Hashem and say, Hashem, this is my worry. You deal with it. And I had actual physical relief from it. I could tell you the story in much longer, a different time. But over the years, faced with many things that sit on my shoulder, as I'm sure all of you have. And when I can take the rock off my shoulder and roll it over to God, sure, it really gives you physical relief. Not always am I on that level of managing to roll it over. Most times, or a lot of times, I like to be in control and can't understand why Hashem's giving me such a heavy rock that I can't lift and can't control. But this is what David HaMelech says. Do you want to have real emunah in Hashem? Do you want to really be happy in this world? Go al Hashem. Roll over your issues to Hashem. Uvatach alav. And trust Him. He's going to catch you, right? He is, he's there. So you've got to believe he's going to catch you. But who yaseh, and then there's a promise that he will do it. He will catch you. I guess that's where we are going up to today. We'll continue, please God, next week. Part 2. Have a good day. Have a good Shabbos.
Thank you, Rivki. And take care. We'll speak. Okay.
Thank you, Rivki.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rivki. Beautiful share.
You're welcome. Well, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye-bye.